Hi there, this is Bethany Barnard, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and welcome to 12 Weeks to a Wow Christmas with Bethany and Lela. This week is project number 10, so there are 9 other projects up on my YouTube channel, and I hope you'll check them out so that you don't miss any, and I would love to have you subscribe. My channel is mostly made up of Christmas projects and ideas, not only our series of 12, but I did do a series of cards as well, special folds, and I am new at this, so I'm still learning, and I'd like to keep on, and if I have subscribers, I will keep on, and I am learning, as I said, along the way, and I know that some people have commented that they would like to see the measurements in the description, so I'm gonna put those in for this project, maybe not as soon as it's released, and I will share them along the way, but I will put them up there as soon as I'm able, which should be in the next day or two. And I just wanted to let you know that last week we're kind of on a stocking stuffer series. And last week we shared some ideas of projects for men and how to measure, and we made a cute little box and an idea for a male stocking stuffer. And this week we decided to remember our little household furry pets. And not only for our homes, but if you are giving gifts to family, friends, you may want to include their little furry animals as well. So we're going to go through a project for a little doggy and a project for a little kitty, and they are slightly different measurements, and so I'll go over them one at a time, and we're going to start with this little Scottie Dog. And so that uses this bundle, which is called Christmas Scottie, and it comes with this great punch that does the bow and the dog. And you'll see that you can punch out the dog and have him face both directions. And I want to show you how we did that, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So here are all of the pieces that you'll need. So this is a piece of ribbon, and I've used the garden green ribbon that came in the catalog that was a spool of red and a spool of green. But as we're in the last month of the catalog, you can use a white and color it. You can just use your colors to match what you already have if there's not time or if the supply has run low. But 15 inches of ribbon, and then you're going to need 2 white pieces that are 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, so they're squares. Garden green, which matches my ribbon, which is 2 by 2. And then you're going to need a 2-inch by 3/4 inch. You're going to need 2 of those. So hopefully I have 2 of those here. Yeah, 2 of those. And then we're going to need a little bit of scrap paper. This is just in case I make a mistake, and this is a scrap paper so that we can stamp the bow and cut that out. You will need some, I've used Poppy Parade. You will need some black. You don't need this much. You need like 6 inches by, what did I say? This was 2.5 inches is enough black. This will cut me 4 dogs easily, and we're only going to cut 2. And then here is a piece of the Poppy Parade that I've done, and it measures 2 3/4 by 5.5. The dog measurements for the favor in here, and I need to show you what's inside, don't I? And I'll do that in just a second. The measurements for the dog are slightly smaller than what we did for the cat, and so you can actually get 2 of these out of 1 sheet of cardstock. But this, as I said, measures 2 3/4 by 5.5, and then scored at 1/2 inch, 2.5 inches, 3 inches, and 5, and then just 1 score at 1/2 inch here. And then you'll use your other, and just so that you can visualize, this is a 1/2 sheet of cardstock, so you can see that you can easily get both of these from 1/2 sheet of cardstock. Because the other thing you're going to use is from the Celebrate with Tags stamp set and Celebrations tag dies. And there's lots of fun stuff in these, and we're going to be using the hearts later on. You are free to use Merry Christmas, Be Jolly, Let's Celebrate You, but I'm actually taking my greetings from May Your Days Be Furry and Bright. Furry, not Fury. May your days be furry and bright, because I think that's so cute, and then I'm going to use that woof woof too. You can use the Merry Christmas. And by the way, I just wanted to say, I think it's always worth having, even if you don't have, I don't have a dog or a cat, but I have lots of friends who have dogs and cats, and I have found it's really helpful to me to have at least one stamp set with both animals in it so that I can make cards, especially if they have a loss or something. So that's just my recommendation there. So this is a great set because it's, you know, got the woof and everything else in it. And these tag dies, and in that tag die is this die. And when it comes out, you see it's got this little dotted edge here, stitching, and the scalloped on both sides. And normally you would just have a tag and you would decorate the outside and the inside, and you could put this on with a ribbon on a gift. But what we're doing today is a little bit different. So that would be the last piece that you need in order to make this project. Now I'll also be using some of these Pearl Basic jewels. The iridescent jewels will work as well. But let me show you what I have inside here. And it's just really a milk bone, right? Treat. And I've measured this just so this fits inside, and it won't fall out once you have the ribbon in there. So I'm not going to put the ribbon in for right now because that'll take a little bit of time. Not to mention I didn't bring another dog bone here that we're going to put inside this one. So I'm going to keep this here in the corner and you can follow along. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take this piece here for our tag that we cut out with the die cut, and we are going to cut that right in half. So here we go. And that's how we're going to get one side and the other, but we're going to decorate those sides first. And so I have basically done the back and the front almost exactly the same. The only thing I did was I had the dog face the opposite way, and on this side it says woof woof woof, but if you want the translation it says may your days be furry and bright. Love that. I'm really excited to give that to some friends of mine. Okay, so as I said, my cardstock is Poppy Parade. I have a little Poppy Parade spot here, and we're going to start with this cute sort of tartan, I don't know, square or whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm overdoing this ink. You probably don't need that much to get good coverage. And then I'm going to this is bigger, the stamp's bigger than my square, so it should be pretty easy to get the whole thing. There we go, there's one. And then we're just gonna repeat that. I really love this dog set. So as I said, if you don't have a dog set and a cat set, I think you should put that on your list of things to have, just so that we can, if you make cards, you want to remember those people that have animals too, even if you don't. There we go, because mostly every set we get is really for other people, isn't it? All right, so now we're going to just glue them onto our garden green piece here. There we go. I have this stored upside down, and I expect it to let go of glue as soon as I get it started. You know, that's good. That's doing well. This really comes along so quickly. go. And what I've found is the best thing to do is on this little tag bit, there's a little dotted line here, dotted stitching. And I find the best thing to do is put this, if you want to get the spacing to where you can read the words and everything else, you want to put this right at that stitching. So we're going to do that on both of these pieces. So Christmas is coming, guys. Just love this though, just that little cute thing to add to that package of gifts to remember your friends' little furry animals. Now, if they have a rabbit or something, I'm sure you can, there's little things for rabbits as well, and there's stamps for rabbits, so you know your friends, but obviously cats and dogs are the usual and most common household furry pet, I think. Those furry friends. So we want to remember them. And for a lot of people, that's their child, you know, that's their child, I guess is what I meant to say. Okay, so now we're going to put this aside and we're going to put this piece together. Sorry about that. I've got a bit of a cold and I just had to stop and make sure I took care of things. Okay. So both sides of this is a 1/2 inch. One of it's the side itself and the other is, so it doesn't matter which one you do this to, but the other is actually the tab that you're going to use to close the inside box to this. So we're going to just miter that end like that, and then we're going to cut up in this middle here to make this tab and miter it to close the bottom. And then we have the same here. There we go. And then we need to get our bone folder. Where did I put my bone folder? Oh, I'm gonna have to reach for that too. Okay. All right. You do want a bone folder because it gives you nice crisp edges when you do this. Yeah, I just realized I have normally shown my scoring on camera, but I'll just give the measurements tonight or on this video. I'm learning what it means to commit to a project a week and getting it filmed regardless of what's going on in my home, especially after Thanksgiving. But I hope that there will be an improvement as time goes on. All right, and fold that shut. And I like to run my bone folder over it again. And not only that, and I think this is wise, once it's pretty much sealed, which is pretty quick with the liquid mono adhesive, but then I like to bend it this way too, because it should really lay flat in both directions, and if it doesn't, it's not square. So I guess that's looking good. We'll cap this glue. Dries up really quick, guys. If you don't cap that mono adhesive, you are going to have trouble with your liquid glue. Okay, so now we're going to just fold in these tabs, fold this down, and really that's all you need to do is put glue on one of these big long tabs here. And then once that's down, and this is where your bone folder can come in handy too, as you okay, there you go. That looks good. so now we're going to go ahead and adhere this to the front. You know what? I think we're going to stamp May Your Days Be Furry and Bright before we put those on. So I've got my pieces here, and I'm using the garden green ink. And then this saying, May Your Days Be Furry and Bright, is a part of that Christmas Scottie stamp set. And I'm actually going to use it on the kitten project as well, because it still applies, and I think it's so cute. They should have added a kitten in that stamp set or something. I don't know. Anyway, we've got one. And then on the other one, I don't know if you remember, but I decided that I wanted to put woof, 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 as though it's what the doggy himself is saying for Christmas. So the reason I did it like this with some up on the other side is just, well, you know how a dog barks. It kind of looks like it's, I guess that's how the cartoons do it, so that's how I did it. And it really doesn't matter which one we put that on, but what we want to do next is add this, and we just want to make sure we're not covering, well, I'll show you the things I look for when I'm putting these tag bits on. Obviously, I can't cover up this hole here, and then we have these 2 points there, so I kind of see those as about where I want to put this, but as I said, without covering up that hole. So I'm just bringing it down enough. And because this is 2 inches and these were 2 inches, it should kind of line up with the end of this green thing as well. And this gives you the most room to be able to put that Scottie Dog on there. Okay, so now with woof, 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 do the same thing. Whoa. I'll put that, again, making sure that we don't cover up the hole. And there we go. And now we're going to add our dogs. Now I am going to put them on. None of this matters that much, the order that you do it, but I'm going to put these on before I add the dogs. So I'm going to put my glue on one side. And it's sort of the same thing. I'm going to turn this over. The first one's easier because you can see, and I'm putting this box right above the dotted line. And I'm trying to make sure that we've got about the same thing on either side. And it shouldn't take that long to adhere. And now I'm going to put glue on this side. And this is a little bit more difficult, but you know you don't want to cover up the hole. And I kind of try to lay it like this so it's about the same and about the same there. And nobody's going to be measuring it the way we would anyway, so you take a look and that looks pretty good. And so now we're gonna punch out our dog. This is so neat. I mean, this stamp set is so cute with the dog. This one punches out. This one's sitting down, and this one's, putting his paws up. Very, very cute. I love this stamp set. I think it's very cute. But really, just with cardstock, black cardstock, you can get your 2 dogs. And I never stamped them, and then you don't have to worry about how dark that comes out, or I'd use my Stamparatus on a full dark dog like that. But the other thing that we want to do is we want bows for our dogs. So I'm going to put those there. And again with the Poppy Parade, do a bow here. I'm going to make it easy for me to punch it out, and I'm going to do one at the opposite end. And obviously you can see you don't need this much. You only need really a scrap of basic white for your bows. There we go. And now we are gonna, ooh, I think I pressed that a little too hard and got some stuff in between. And even though the punch kind of comes in between those things, I'm gonna go ahead, it's such a small piece, it's not a big wasted bit, I'm gonna stamp that again. And also give you guys a visual that all of us sometimes don't get the stamped image we mean to get. All right, there we go. And then you'll see coming in here that the punch also will do this nice bow. Now, you can punch out a bow. In fact, I'll show you the difference. You can punch out a bow. If you don't get the stamp set, you can punch out a bow just out of some red cardstock. And I'm going to do that with a piece here in a minute, but show you that it's not quite as cute as with a stamped image. I'm going to grab a smaller scrap than this to show you. Wow, I'm getting up and moving out of my seat a lot this time, aren't I? So I just had this here, so there we go. I mean, it's still cute, right? So what you can do with just the punch, you know, here you can see this one versus this one. Some might even like it better. I personally, on this with the red and the white coming up, prefer the stamped one. But how great is that? Okay, going back to my stamped one. And then I like to just put like a line of glue here and here. And then I can put my bow on, just like that. Now I could use a dimensional, but I'm gonna actually pop him up on dimensionals. So I am good with putting this on flat. There we go. Just so cute at Christmas time. But do I wish it was down a little bit? You know, you look at it too long and but that's what this great glue does, is let you move it around a little bit. There we go. Okay. And now another tip I have for you, if you're using the punch to make the dogs, is I'm using, and you can use any pearls that have this size, or you can even just punch out a very small circle and do this. But I'm taking the smallest of these. It's just the basic pearl basic jewels. And they give you this bump here right for where his eye is. So I just put that on. And then his other eye. Well, it's not his other eye, is it? It's I don't know if it's the same dog or a different dog on the front and on the back. All right, there we go. Isn't he cute? He's so cute. I love him. All right, so now, as I said, I'm going to pop him up on dimensionals. And did I leave my dimensional? Here they are. Just could see me getting up out of my chair again. All right, and I like one on his head. And then two on his body. One here and one here. So you can see how quick this is to make as well. Just so cute. All right. So now we're going to put the dogs on. And now we don't want to cover up the words, right? Because that's really important to get that may your days be furry and bright. So I just make sure he comes all the way down to the bottom of this green piece. And then I'm going to turn it over. And as I said, he's going to face the opposite direction. They don't have to. Well, you know, just a way to show you that you can make the dog go in a different direction. And I did want to show you that when I stamped the woof up high on either side, that was because I knew the tail was coming up and the ear was coming up. But how cute is that? Then you're going to take that milk bone treat, plop it in there. Take your 15 inches of ribbon, put it through the 2 holes. Now I do want May Your Days Be Furry and Bright to be the front. Not that it matters once they get it, right? It's not, you know, you're not going to be able to control what they decide is the front. But I guess in a way you are, because I am putting the bow, I'm going to tie that bow right up here in what I'm calling the front. So the way to, you could tie it to where it's right in the middle here, but if you bring it over and lay this flat as I'm doing here, and then just tie like you were tying a shoe so that this is flat on here as opposed to right here. And then this is plenty of ribbon for your, you know, I'm notorious for cutting my ribbon too short, but I practiced before making the video to make sure that I did not have too little of ribbon for this. And I think it's because I definitely need the 15 inches for the cat, which we're going to be doing in a little bit. But you can see I'm easily cutting off probably 4 inches here. Now, it's easier to, you can't cut and trim very well if you have exactly the amount you need. And look at me, I'm bringing this, there we go. I'm happier with that. I do fiddle with my ribbons a lot, I think many of us do at the end. And I think, ooh, do I even want the bow quite that big? I'm not sure I do. There we go. And now I'm going to shorten this. There we go. And here we go. So there we have it, our little doggy done with that little milk bone treat inside. Isn't he cute? So cute, love it. Now this one's missing a bow because I never retied it after showing it to you. All right, let me show you now, and I will put in the description too where I started on the cat for anybody who was waiting on the cat. I probably should have said that at the beginning, huh? All right, let me give you the information for our little cat. So you're going to need the black memento as well as the garden green and the Poppy Parade ink. I'm going to put those over here, but you'll need all 3 of those colors. And then from our Celebrate with Tags set, we are going to use these hearts. Here, let me get that little. Here's the cat one. Oh, and I haven't showed you what we're putting inside this one, right? And in this one, and I didn't want to cover up, the cat's a little bit taller than the dog, but I still wanted to use this May Your Days Be Furry and Bright. This little kitten, which is so cute, comes from Cheerful Basket, which also has basket dies that coordinate with it to cut all of these things out. And I'm putting this little kitten on, and I'm using the die to cut the kitten out. But I did use these hearts from the Celebrate with Tags. And as I said, I just really like the May Your Days Be Furry and Bright. So I kept that for our little box too. Okay, so I've got my measurements here to share with you. So again, we're using the Poppy Parade, and this piece, which is going to be sort of the inner box, I needed it to be a little bit thicker. Oh, because I haven't shown you what's inside this one, have I? And I'm going to have to open up this to show you as well, or get up and reach again. Oh, I thought I stuck it in here, so I didn't have to do that. All right, well, I'm just going to open it up for you to see, but this is catnip. It's a little mouse catnip in here. Yeah, I guess I have to open it up and show you. Well, sorry about that, guys. It's not a big deal. It just means I have to tie my bow again after getting it just what I like. So I found a package of these, and I read up a little bit on catnip and how it's something that cats enjoy. And there were 3 of these in a packet, so you can give it to 3 different friends. But it did mean I had to make this box a little bit fatter. So that's why these measurements are different. And I will keep him out because we're gonna have to put him in this one anyway and pretend that's tied up again as we take care of this box. Okay, so this one measures, this one you cannot get 2 of these out of a cardstock, but you could get, I think, 3 out of 2 pieces of cardstock, because this measures 6.5 inches, which is more than, yeah, I've got myself asking again, oh, could I? I keep thinking, could I? But no, you can't, because even if this was 8.5 inches long and you came here and got the 2 6.5 inches, which you could, you can't, there's not enough room across the 8.5 to be able to get the tag piece that you'll need as well. I hope that makes sense. You just can't do it. You can't get 2 from 1 sheet, but you can get 3 from 2 sheets. Okay, so back to that 6.5 by 3 1/4 Poppy Parade, scored at 1/2 inch, 2.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and 5.5 inches. And then turned this way and scored at 1 inch. Okay. Additionally, you're going to need another 15 inches of ribbon. You're going to need one of these tags cut with the die, and the other measurements are all the same. So you're going to need 2 bits of white at 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, 2 of the garden green, 2 inches by 2 inches, and then 1 tag. This is in case I make a mistake. You only need 1 tag because we only put 1 on the front. And then you're going to need a piece of white cardstock to stamp your little kitten on. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the kitten first and color it so I can go through how I've done that. And you may want to color the cat based on whatever cat you know a family has. And so I'm coloring this one a little gray and white kitten. And so I'm using the, what is it called? Gray granite. Yeah. And I start, well, first I got to stamp them on here, don't I? Okay. Such a cute kitten, huh? And so I begin with the light. I know some people start with dark. I always start with the light because I can't, well, you can lighten them, but I always find it's easier to add dark than it is to add light. Not add light, but to tone it down. So this is the light one, and I want them to have sort of a white underneath. So I kind of use this as my guide for where his tummy starts to go white. Let me put that more in the center of the camera. And then I like white paws as well. So I'm bringing it down. Sounds awfully squeaky, doesn't it? And then the tail. Okay, so that's just in its lighter color. The next thing I'm going to do is come over it with the dark, and I'm going to do sort of around his outlines, down his back. I just think this tends to really bring it out. And then just one along the top of his tail. And then all these lines in between, I'm just going to make them a little bit darker too. And I'm going to come back through with the light afterwards. There you go. And I just think it gives a lot of depth. I love our blends. I love playing with our blends. I am no artist. but these make me feel more like an artist. I'm going to just bring that in some more, pull it in from the sides, and put a little bit down here at the bottom just to kind of end where that tummy, there we go. Now we're going to do this twice, but for the sake of the video, I wanted you to be able to see how I colored it, but with the magic of video, I have two that I've already done here, because I would, here's that die in that comes with the stamp set that I would have used to cut them out. But I've done that in advance so that you would be ready for that and you wouldn't have to wait for me to do that. Okay, so next I'm going to take my whites, and we're not doing that red plaid in the background, which is so cute with the Scottie Dog, but we're going to do hearts. And this is, again, you know, it's that stamp set that's part of Celebrate with Tags. And this is not just Christmas. It has birthday, it has balloons, the hearts, of course, to and from. This is a great tag set. Okay, so now Poppy Parade for my hearts, because we are showing our love for the little animals that, you know, make our friends or us so happy. So I'm on purpose stamping this toward the left of the card because I'm going to put the kitten on to kind of come around like this. Does that make sense? So with the other one, I do actually like I do have a full set of the Poppy Parade, but sometimes I like to use the spots instead. So there we go, right over to the left. All right, now I'm gonna do the same thing. Well, first I'm gonna go ahead and put these on these green squares. I think I'm already doing this in a different order from the other one, so you can see how much order doesn't really matter. But we'll put this to the side, and we'll adhere these. And if you don't see the measurements up there yet, be patient and I will get them up there. It's kind of late right now, and so I am not going to get that done tonight, but I do intend to get them up there as soon as possible during the day tomorrow. Okay. And now we're going to get to work on the same thing that we did before. So the first thing we want to do is, remember this is a tag that's all in one piece so that you have sort of an outside and an inside to from with plenty of room, by the way. Don't you hate it when you get store-bought tags and they don't give you enough room to write who it's to and who it's from, especially if their name's at all long? Okay, and I'm going to use that same guideline right above the stitching here and sort of an equal border on either side. And I don't know if you can see, but I've got a little bit of red ink shadow going on here at the side of my hearts, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to put those kittens right over the top of that. Did I put this on and then it moved? Ooh, well, that's not good because that is not straight. Well, Now here's a dilemma. Let's see if I can just, don't have all my tools with me for this video here. If I mess this up, it's okay, because I have a spare white here that I can redo this. And even if I tear up the green a little bit, it won't really show because we're putting it on top of the red. And as I said, I do this on purpose so you guys can see even the failures we have. All of us have at one time or another. Well, that's a good glue, isn't it? Okay, I have about mutilated that. And here's my other white, and I'm going to redo that. My hearts. When I made my very first video, which took me about 8 hours, I would have started over at this point for that mistake. But now I'm learning the show must go on or you never get anything done. There we go. I didn't go as high as I wanted to with that. So I think I might add, oh, I got another side to this, don't I? Well, while I have another side, I was gonna just add some more hearts at the top. And if I don't like this stamping, then I'll do that. But I want these more at the top. I might have just missed that again. Stamping white on white, it's hard to tell what you're doing, right? So I am gonna just ink up a little bit more of these hearts on the bottom and see if I can't get them in there. There we go, that works. Now I will glue that back on and hopefully make sure it's dry so it doesn't move. I don't know if that's what happened or not. Maybe those of you watching the video have a better idea. Okay, so let's cover this up. I'm gonna flip this. There we go. I'm thinking that red might be not quite dry. There we go. I'm good with that. Okay, let's put him on. So I just love this idea of including these little stocking stuffers for our furry friends and the furry friends of our friends. Okay, so now we're going to cut this up and make that same box. Just keep in mind that this one is 1 inch the sides rather than 1/2 inch because the little mouse is fatter than the little milk bone. So I still have a 1/2 inch here, which is going to be what makes the tab to close our box. So I'm going to miter it and take out that other rectangle completely, cut up this center up to that first score line, and then I will miter this tab. Just makes for easier folding. And then this end one, and then we will use the bone folder, close up our box. We're almost done here. And here we go. Fold this in. If you know somebody with birds and you have the bird set, you could do a little bit of bird seed or something. I'm sure there's treats for birds too, right? Anyway, I learned a long time ago to make sure, even though I didn't have a cat or a dog, to have those stamp sets here, especially when you know, they get sick or something, and you just really want to be sure that you can reach out to those friends. But even how fun is it at Christmas to include those furry little animals? Okay, again, you always fold it flat while you're doing this tab. And then you want to check and make sure it's folding flat this way. And because if it's not folding flat in both ways, then it's not really finding its, you know, center or whatever. Okay, and now we'll fold these two tabs in here and here, fold this in, and add our glue. Doing my best to try and remember to keep what I'm doing right in the center of the camera, knowing that I'm blind and often need to see it right up close. Okay, I mean, I'm not blind, and I don't mean to, because I know there's a blind, some blind, you know, almost blind and legally blind stampers, which I think is so good. By the way, another thing you can use sometimes for these boxes are your blocks right in here. Except you probably should take the stamps off first, because I think I bent my box by not doing that first. All right, so now we're going to do our adhering of our panels, keeping in mind that the first one's the easiest. Because we can put this down like that, put this right above the dotted line, and then see if we have about the same margin on either side, and we do. And then I like to put this down, make sure it's adhering, and that it didn't get too much out of where it was supposed to be. That looks good. And add our back panel or front, they're the same. So at this point, I don't know which one's going to be the back or the front. Make sure that our hole is not covered up. There we go. It's looking good. And now we're going to go ahead and put dimensionals on our two little kittens. I just realized you could, with the mittens that come with this set, you could have your kittens in their little mittens. And I feel like we should put a third one on here as well. I think I should have placed them a little differently, but this will certainly work. Doesn't look like anything yet, but look how when I put this little kitten on and his ears pop up over the top. Isn't that so cute? And then do the same on the back. And I am in a second gonna bring out my trusty trio punch. Very Best Trio Punch is what it's called, and I love it, and I've used it on a couple of my other projects for sure. Put this little mousey in here, full of catnip. I think the box said 30% more catnip. Maybe that's what it said, something like that. Okay, I'm not, well, yeah, I am gonna go ahead and thread this even for how I'm gonna put on this next tag. In fact, I gave you the wrong measurement, I think, for this tag. So let me correct that now. That tag is 3/4 of an inch by 2.5 inches. You know what? I don't think I gave you the measurement of the tag this time. And I do want you to know that it is a ½ inch longer than the one for the dog. So this should be 2.5 inches, and it is. So that's good news. And then, because we're gonna punch a hole in it here and have it go onto the ribbon so that you can still see the hearts and you can see the cat. So we're gonna stamp in the garden green, we're gonna stamp the May Your Days Be Furry and Bright. But we're gonna make sure that we go all the way to the left here so that we have room to punch the hole here. So here I'm bringing it in, my very best trio punch, which I love, 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 because it does do a hole punch, but also does these designer punches as well in the corners, and I've used every single corner of this punch. Excuse me. And there's a notch right here to see where the center of your thing that you're punching is. So we've got that in there. And now I'm going to thread that on here before I tie it. I'm going to tie it the exact same way as we did. I'm going to go ahead and let it kind of hang out there because it'll move anyway. You'll have a little bit of movement that you can do. I'm going to pull a little bit more green through the back side so that I have a little bit more because it's going to come across the front. There we go. So if you tie it with that about where you want it, it'll work for you pretty well. It might slide down a little bit, but you get the gist of it. So there's my start. And once again, 15 inches really is plenty. If you dare, you can try and cut less. Just don't do what I've done so many times, which is not cut, try to save ribbon, and instead of saving and conserving ribbon, I actually have to, cut another piece because I didn't give myself enough to begin with. So I wanted to make sure I got that right. Okay, and then I always like to trim my edges too. So I like to move this over a little bit. You could, instead of tagging it onto your bow like I have, you could just put it on there with a dimensional up high or whatever, but I kind of like that it won't come off with the being attached to the ribbon itself. So now I'm gonna trim this up. Just like that. We've got the little catnip mouse in there already. And there we are. Little stocking stuffers or small gifts for your furry friends or the furry friends of your friends. Thank you for watching.